Hey everyone, I'm Amar Ali, and in this video, I'll share 6 exercises that have helped me improve my portrait drawing skills, including how to draw the structure, values, shading, and the overall believability. For reference, this is what my drawings looked like 2 years ago, and here are some of my recent drawings. I know these probably don't look that amazing, and to be fair, I still have a long way to go when it comes to drawing faces, but I'm quite happy with the progress I've made so far, and I thought I would make this video to recommend some of my favorite exercises that have helped me as a beginner, and I hope this video helps at least some of you to draw slightly better portraits. Studying sculptures is a great way to practice portrait drawing because it allows you to focus on the big shapes, values, and forms without the added complexity of color and texture. When I got back to drawing 2 years ago, I was having a hard time conveying even the basic forms of the face in my drawings, which admittedly looked pretty flat. As a beginner, I feel like drawing from sculptures has allowed me to observe the basic structure of the face more objectively and understand how forms interact with light and shadow. And I think there's something about knowing the fact that you're not drawing an actual person's face that just makes it a little easier for the brain to internalize the shape and form of the human head, if that makes any sense. So, for example, I started noticing simple details about the face, such as the curvature of the forehead and the eyes, that now seem so obvious to me. But my earlier drawings displayed my utter obliviousness to such basic details. I highly recommend this exercise with a gentle warning that drawing sculptures can be highly addictive. And if you need some inspiration, you can check out the link in the description for some of my favorite sculpture references on Pinterest. The Bargue drawing method is a self-study drawing course invented by the 19th century French painter Charles Bargue. I hope I haven't butchered the pronunciation of his name. And to my surprise, this technique has since been studied by some of the most prolific artists of the past 150 years, including the likes of Van Gogh and Picasso. Basically, the course consists of a series of 197 drawing prints that are meant to be copied precisely and in the prescribed sequence. What I love about this exercise is that it teaches you the effectiveness of organizing the values in your drawings into simple shapes and how sketching even a handful of lines with a purpose can be enough to convey so much about the dynamic and often complex forms of the human face. Full disclosure, I haven't gone through the entire set of 197 drawings myself so far, and in fact, I'm not even 1/4 of the way yet. But I prefer not to rush through these, and every now and then, when I feel particularly inspired, I sneak in a practice study of one or two of these drawings. And there are several books that contain the entire set of the 197 drawings, and personally, I prefer the convenience of having a physical compilation of these prints in the book form that I can refer to when I want. But you can also find digital copies of some of these drawings that are available on the web, and I'll add a link to those in the description if you want to try this exercise. Doing anatomy studies of the skull has been critical for me in understanding why the human head is shaped the way it is. But I remember when I first started drawing faces, I dreaded doing anatomy studies because, to be honest, I found them to be rather boring. But over time, the idea seems to have grown on me, and in hindsight, I can see how studying the skull has helped me feel more confident about the placement of different features in a portrait and make the prominent parts of the skull stand out a bit more in my drawings. Alright, this might sound a bit cliche, but I think as a beginner, learning the Loomis method has been the single biggest factor that has helped me improve my portrait drawings. Prior to learning the Loomis head, my drawings lacked structure because I wasn't able to visualize the human head in terms of basic shapes. I think as a beginner, what sold me about the Loomis method is that it removed the mystery of portrait drawing and it showed me for the first time that the process of drawing a face is essentially a series of steps starting with a simple circle, giving it some perspective and proportions, and molding the shape into something that resembles like the head of a primate. If you're new to drawing portraits, I would highly recommend you to practice the Loomis method because it would make your life a lot easier. While the Loomis method is great, I find it a bit less intuitive to draw faces angled in a more complicated perspective. To be fair, that might just be because I haven't yet mastered the basics of the Loomis method. But lately, I have been curious to learn the George Bridgman's approach for drawing the head. And while the overall technique is quite similar to the Loomis, one key difference is that it develops the portrait from a box instead of a sphere. I know this sounds like a superficial difference, but somehow it makes it easier for me to visualize the head in a complicated pose. And personally, I like how it lends a squarish quality to the portraits that contrast with the roundness of the Loomis head. So, this is one of my favorite ways of practicing portrait drawing. Basically, whenever I feel exhausted from sketching portraits of actual people, I like switching to drawing artwork that I really admire and try to deconstruct what makes it click in terms of its art style, values, shapes, line work, or its story. I think walking in the footsteps of the great masters that you look up to exposes you to new ways of thinking about your own creative process, and that can ultimately help you to find your creative voice in your drawing. I hope you learned something new by watching this video and it helps you somewhat improve your portrait drawings. And if you like to suggest some topics for my next video, please let me know in the comments. By the way, I'm absolutely blown away by the feedback I got on my first video, and I just want to thank you all for the incredible support and encouragement. It honestly means a lot to me, and you guys have given me the confidence to take this YouTube thing seriously. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.